we were younger, we used to sit on the grass among the flowers. We just let the days pass by.
Changes every heart, and any heart can change you.
Hello and welcome back to our channel. I'm Colleen and this is Our Blessed Life, and welcome to another vlog. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the girls doing some school. We are doing better than we have been over the past few days. It's actually about 9:30 and we are getting started. So I need to go to Sam's. I'm not sure that that's gonna happen today though. I do have a like a follow-up with the chiropractor, so I've got that at 11 o'clock today. I didn't realize how cold it was. I got dressed wearing short sleeves and now I found out the high is gonna be like 60. So, and I'll show you my project. I finally got started working on painting my doors black, which I know I've mentioned numerous times here. So it's not done, it's still streaky. It needs another coat. Having a little trouble picking that up in the camera, but a lot of the bottom part's done. But then towards the top, I definitely need another coat on here. So the plan is to paint all of the insides of my exterior doors black. And I've been using just some paint that I got at Walmart during one of the trips that we went to get some groceries, and it's not a good paint, but I can make it work with like 3 coats. So I'm also gonna be painting this door, and the other side also needs to be painted black. They're both just kind of this off-white color, and so I've got an exterior paint. I've got a couple of cans of exterior paint. So I'm gonna paint that black, and then the same thing with this door. I'm gonna paint the inside black and then the outside with the exterior black paint. And I may do this one as well, I'm not really sure. That's my little project that I have going on. I did this at my other house, painted the inside of the exterior doors black, and I really liked how it turned out with the pop of black. And so I knew that I wouldn't do it here, but I just never got around to it, and now all we have is time, so I'm working on that. So Sophie is working on one of her assessment pages. She's almost done with her handwriting, so this is one of the pages where you just kind of write down the letters and numbers that you want them. She has trouble with crossing the midline, so I'm using some of those, and then these are some of her harder numbers.
I can't do anything.
Those are pretty good 5s though, Sophie.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and make your stars since we didn't get to do that yesterday?
How do you make it do? I don't know.
Well, it's basically going to be triangles. So like we're going to glue these like this.
I watch you as
And then we're going to glue another triangle like this. Let's see.
and I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. Forever.
Just a little bit of a car chat while we are headed to the chiropractor and then to Sam's. So to give you, I know some of y'all have small businesses and have been kind of following our small business update, so I wanted to update you on that. We have applied for the SBA, what they're calling the EIDL loan, emergency something disaster loan. That was supposed to be a grant that was $10,000. We're understanding that they've recently changed it. I called the SBA about 2 weeks ago at this point for an update. They did not have an update, but they said that it had been upped to $15,000. And lately it's been changed again, and now it's basically $1,000 per employee. So if you're just a sole proprietor, then you would only get $1,000. So that's like a huge difference from the $10,000 that was originally promised. So that's a lot less. We have 5 employees total. So that's gonna be cut in half if we get it. At this point, I'm not even holding my breath that we're gonna get that, because we just haven't seen any indication that there's any activity on that front at all. In the meantime, the Paycheck Protection Program, we applied for that, and then we found out that Bank of America had added like new forms and new instructions about 4 or 5 days after we originally applied and submitted all of our documentation. So we had to go back in and do that again. And we still haven't heard anything. It's been quite a while. We're not really sure where we are in the process. We don't know if the SBA has approved us or not. And so on Monday, we started the process all over yet again. With a small local bank here, we had found out that a lot of the smaller banks had been getting people approved, where we have been with Bank of America and we're just kind of sitting stagnant. So the way it stands now, we have 2 banks working on our PPP loan, hopefully. And just whoever enters us into the SBA system first will be the one we go with, because you can't obviously do it twice. You can't take 2 PPP loans, and the SBA will only accept the information for the company from one lender. So one of the banks will get it in there first, and then the other bank will have to stop the process, and we'll just go with whoever's first. If you own a small business and you have had any success with any of these programs, let us know in the comments below, because I do think it would be encouraging for people to hear good news on that front. For us, it's just been very confusing, very hard, and no good news yet. And Katie's with me. She is going to be my support person at Sam's, because y'all know I am just really not loving going into stores right now. Although I will say the last few times have been a little bit easier for me, which was good. I haven't had the same level of anxiety that I was having.
But we've been going, like, you know, like when we went to Food Line at like 7 in the morning, that was completely different because there was no one there really.
Yeah, no, that's true. So, but hopefully Sam's will be okay. I know Sam's has like a lot of rules right now as far as how many people can go in and all that stuff. I just find all of that confusing, and I don't know, all that stuff makes me nervous when you're just not really sure what you're supposed to do or what the new rules are, or like when they start barricading the entrances and counting people, and I don't know, all that stuff is just, it makes me nervous. They're doing that at Walmart and Food Line and some of the stores, and so I've been trying to avoid those as much as I can because of that. But I hope y'all are all doing well, and I hope you're finding the food and things that you need for your families. It's really hard for me to believe that this has been going on for so long. So yeah, we're going to talk about later on in this vlog, we're going to talk about things that we've learned from the quarantine as a family, and so stay tuned for that a little bit later in the vlog. So scratch Sam's. We're not willing to wait in line just to get into Sam's. So, in South Carolina, and I'm sure it's this way in other states now as well, they have a rule about how many people can be like in a store or whatever, like per square footage or whatnot. So yeah, apparently they have too many people in there. So it's just not worth it to me to go stand in that line. It's also really weird weather today. It's really cold.
So it is currently winter here. There is a very cold wind outside, and the high is in the low 60s today. It's pretty cold. And
yesterday the high was like 83, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so what have we learned from the quarantine? So this part of our video is a collaboration with several other channels that are all good friends of mine. I'm gonna put them, I'm gonna link those channels in the description box below. But we're just all talking about what we've learned from the quarantine. This is day 32 of quarantine for us, so this has actually been over a month being in quarantine. So what have we learned from the quarantine?
What have you learned from the quarantine?
Well, the thing, I guess the most obvious thing to me is that we're not in control of anything. So even maybe before this happened, if you even thought you were in control of anything, it's just, it's merely an illusion if you think you are. So when everything starts spinning out of control, that's when you really kind of have to believe it. You have to live that. Because as y'all know, with our small business, things have been really bad. And other people are living situations like this as well, with job losses or with sickness, family members being sick or being in the hospital and things like that. This is just, just a really difficult time. And so that for me is just the biggest thing. Not that I necessarily learned, because I already knew that, but it's just more that you're really having to live it and really having to live out your faith, just knowing that you really have no control over anything, and the things that you once maybe thought you had under control, you really didn't have those under control either. Like, things can change so quickly.
What is quarantine?
What is quarantine?
Mm-hmm.
Quarantine is when we're stuck at home.
Yeah.
We're safe at home,
Yeah.
but we have to stay home and we can't go out. That's quarantine is why you don't go to stores anymore.
Is that
Yeah.
fun? Has that been fun for you?
Boring. No, it's the
She
way
said
she said
boring.
it though.
Is that what you've learned from the quarantine?
You're exactly right there.
It's
Yeah.
so boring
It
for
has-
me.
it
I
has
don't
been
go to store.
Yeah, that's what you've learned from the quarantine. That's boring.
So to tack on to what Colleen said about control, I've mentioned it multiple times, but it's very hard to want to control the situation, specifically with our small business situation over the last month or so. It's been hard not to have control of that process and to have to wait for answers from people, from our bank. The whole situation has just been very difficult. So
Every aspect of our life basically feels out of control right now. And I know that other people feel that in other ways. So for example, if you're in an area where there are actually a lot of cases of the virus, then you may feel out of control from an illness standpoint. We really haven't had very many cases here. So a lot of what we're seeing is people that have been severely damaged by what's happened to the economy. Gary, what have you learned from the quarantine?
I've learned that you shouldn't take for granted those simple things. Simple things meaning,
Freedom.
yeah, just, being able to go into the grocery store and get whatever you want to get, whenever you want to get it, and have it accessible to you. Going out to eat,
Yeah.
because everything is just basically, to go right now. I mean, there's a ton of things that you
Just
can
hugging
list.
a friend, just in seeing your friends.
I don't
you
like to
know.
hug my friends, but it's been difficult to
Yeah.
not be able to do the things that you've always been able to do without ever thinking about it. So yeah.
Just this simple little things, right? Katie, what have you learned from the quarantine?
Oh, the same thing as Dad, but I think I've also learned patience in not knowing what is coming next, and it's like you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah, and that's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that goes back to being in control. I guess the other thing that's like more of a, sort of a practical lesson learned or whatever is that the economy is really a house of cards. Like it can fall apart very, very easily. I mean, this was so different than like a typical recession or something like that, because it's kind of like, I think you said this early on, that it's not just like the faucets being turned down and the water's coming out more slowly. It's like it's turned off entirely,
Yeah.
Say you're going from normal to nothing versus a slowdown that you can kind of see and plan for. So again, it kind of just goes back to control and like what you can plan for and what you can't plan for, and just having to have patience and just be okay with that. So I think a lot of this we already knew, but we weren't necessarily living out in our everyday life. It's just kind of different to be one of those things that you say that you know and you believe versus having to live that out like all day long, every day, right?
Yeah, the other thing, taking things for granted, the one thing like March Madness, there was no, I mean, for me, majority, you know this, the majority of the stuff that I watch on TV, if I ever watch TV, it's always sports. I literally have not hardly watched any TV at all since, because there's no sports on.
Right.
So, you know, no March Madness. I mean, who would have thought that an entire March Madness would be canceled, and all of the spring college sports and high school sports and potentially graduations would be just canceled and gone.
Right.
So that hurts.
It also has kind of taught me that we're living like in a moment in history, which you always are, in the sense that you always look back on your life and like the past is history, like literally history. But right now it's one of those moments, like, you know, we didn't grow up during World War II or, you know, one of those things like that. I mean, we remember 9/11 and some of those things, but this is just
A true textbook.
Yeah,
This
true.
is going to be in many textbooks.
Right, I know, and I've said before that I could see like Katie and her generation being those people that are interviewed on the news when they're in their 80s and 90s about what was it like to live through, be quarantined and do school at home, and just all those different things like that, which you always do school at home, but still.
It's still different.
Okay, it's time for our birthdays. We love celebrating your birthdays with you, and if you have birthdays in the month of April, let us know in the comments below and we will include you in our birthday shout outs. So today we have 3 birthdays that we are celebrating. The first one is my dad. His name is James and his birthday is on April 17th. Happy birthday, Papa! Okay, next.
Next is Samuel. Samuel turns 13 on April 17th.
Happy birthday, Samuel! And last we have Megan, who is turning 16 on April 18th. Happy birthday, Megan! We hope you all have wonderful birthdays. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.